In this lesson, we are going to learn how to attack the opponent when we have same side castling situation on the board. Take a look at this example. In this position, our king is on the king side and opponent's king is also on the king side. So we have same side castling situation on the board. And the best way to attack in this kind of position is direct piece attack. We take our pieces and bring them toward the opponent's king and create some threats that will force the opponent to create a weakness around his king. And once the weakness has been created, then we use our pieces to exploit that weakness. In same side castling situation, generally we don't use pawn storm attack. And in the next lesson, I will explain why we don't use pawn storm attack in same side castling situation. In this example, our knight is on f5, where it is already closer to the opponent's king. And now white here played queen to g3. Now the queen is also attacking on the opponent's king. We are attacking the g7 square and there is no good way for black to defend it except playing pawn to g6. So we have forced the opponent to create some weakness around his king. Now look at these dark squares. These dark squares are weak. There is no bishop on g7 to protect these dark squares. Then we use our pieces and bring them closer to the weakness so that our pieces can exploit these weaknesses. White played queen to g5. Queen is eyeing these weak squares. We are going to occupy these weak squares by our pieces. Black cannot capture our knight because queen is pinning the pawn. So black played king h8. And we have to protect the knight now. So white played knight to d6. We are attacking the f7 pawn. So black played king g7 to guard it. And now look, our queen is already in the attack. Knight is also closer to the king. Our bishop is also pointing toward the opponent's king. But the problem is it is not enough. These rooks are not doing anything and we need to bring at least one of the rook in the game so that we can attack the opponent's king more effectively. That's why in this position white played pawn to e4. Our idea is to put the rook on d3 and then swing it over to the h3 to attack on the opponent's king. This is known as rook lift. This idea is so powerful that I'm going to explain it in more detail in the upcoming lessons. You will get a dedicated lesson just for this topic. You see, rook is the second most powerful piece on the chessboard. If you want your attack to succeed, then you must use your rook into the attack. You must find a way to bring your rook and point it toward the opponent's king. Here, black cannot play a natural move like pawn to h6 because then white can play knight f5 check and white can simply capture this h6 pawn. So here, black played knight to g8. Knight is covering these weak dark squares. White played rook to d3. White is trying to bring all of his pieces into the attack. Let's say now black plays a move like h6, trying to get rid of the active queen. Then we play knight to f5 check, and because the pawn is pinned, the queen is pinning the pawn, black king has to play h7. And now we play knight cross h6. We sacrifice our knight to open the king. If black plays knight cross h6, then we can play rook h3 and in the next move we are going to capture this knight and win the game. That's why here black played pawn to f6. And now what should we do? White played knight to f5. White sacrificing the whole queen. After f cross g5, white can play rook d3 and it's going to be a checkmate. Knight h6, rook cross h6, it's a checkmate. That's why after rook d3, instead of playing pawn to h6, black played pawn to f6. As black is pushing his pawns, black is creating more weakness. Now look, our bishop is open. It can target the g8 square also. Now white plays knight f5 check. Black has only one option, king to h8. And now how should we continue the attack? And the answer is queen cross g6. Queen sacrifice to open the lines toward the opponent's king. Black has to play h cross g6 and then we play rook h3 and it will be a checkmate. After knight h6, rook cross h6, it's a checkmate. And look, the bishop is doing an important job of covering the g8 square. Knight is covering g7 and rook is giving a check from the h file. This is how we want to attack when it comes to same side castling situation. Let's see this direct piece attack in one more example. In this position also, white's king is on the king side and black's king is on the king side. So we have same side castling situation on the board. Our strategy is to attack on the opponent's king using our pieces. So here white played pawn to b3. Our idea is to develop the bishop on b2 and point it toward the opponent's king. Black played knight to b4. Black is attacking our bishop, but we play bishop to b1. We want to keep this bishop alive so that it points toward the opponent's king. And now black played knight cross e4. White does not care about the pawn. The more important thing is now the diagonal for the bishop is open and we are going to use this diagonal to attack on the opponent's king. Here white played bishop to b2. Now both of these bishops are pointing toward the opponent's king. So we have two pieces that are pointing toward the opponent's king. These two knights can easily go to the f5 and g5 and go toward the opponent's king. Black played bishop to b7, black is developing his piece. And now white played pawn to d5, opening the diagonal of this dark squared bishop. Black played pawn c4, black wants to play pawn to c3 and blunt our dark squared bishop. White played b cross c4, b cross c4. And now how do we attack? And here white played bishop cross e4. White eliminated black's knight. Black played rook cross e4. And now we start moving our pieces toward the opponent's king. We play knight to g5. We are also attacking the rook. So black goes rook e7. And now we bring our queen into the attack. We play queen to h5. Now look, bishop is here. The knight is here. The queen has also joined the attack and the e3 knight can jump to f5 and all of our pieces are pointing toward the opponent's king. We have direct piece attack on the opponent's king. These two pieces are attacking on the h7 square. So black is forced to push his pawn forward, creating some weakness. The pawn is attacking our knight, but we don't have to defend it. Here white played knight to f5, bringing one more piece into the attack. Black first exchanged the rooks. If black captures our knight, then we can play rook cross e7. After bishop cross e7, white can play bishop cross g7 and we have managed to destroy the pawn cover of the opponent's king. In the next move, we are going to play queen h8 and it's a deadly attack. So here black first exchange the rooks. Let's say black plays pawn to g6, forking our knight and the queen. White has so many pieces that are pointing toward the opponent's king that white can afford to sacrifice one or two pieces to open the defense of the opponent's king. Here, white can play queen cross h6. After bishop cross h6, knight cross h6 check, king f8 and knight to h7 checkmate. That's why in this position, black simply took the knight. The knight was so powerful and annoying that black had to kill it. And now the question is, how do we continue the attack? White already has 3 pieces into the attack. But white can bring one more piece into the attack. You see, black has a weakness on this h file. If we can manage to bring our rook on h3, then we can play queen h8 and it will be a checkmate. So white played rook to e3, rook left. White's idea is that white is going to play rook h3 and then in the next move, queen h8, checkmate. And black does not have any good defense. If black plays a move like pawn to f6, trying to run away with king to f7, Then we can first play queen g6. Our threat is knight h6 check, and let's say black plays pawn to g4. Then we can first play knight h6 check, king h8, and knight cross g4. In the next move, we are going to play rook h3 check, and pretty soon king will be checkmated. There are so many threats like bishop cross f6, knight cross f6, knight h6. And if black plays a move like pawn to g4, trying to stop the rook h3 move, then also we can play knight h6 check. After g cross h6, we play queen cross g4 check. We have managed to break the defense of the opponent's king. After king h8, we can play rook g3, and there is no way for black to save this checkmate. That's why in this position, black played bishop to c8. Black's idea is to remove this important attacker. Now, how should white continue the attack? How do we destroy the defense of the black's king? And the answer is bishop cross g7. We sacrifice a piece to destroy the defense of the opponent's king. We have so many pieces on the king side that we can afford to sacrifice one or two pieces so that our rest of the pieces can hunt the opponent's king. Our threat is queen h8, so black must take the bishop. And now we play rook e8 check. Black has only one option, bishop f8, and now it is checkmate time. White can play rook cross f8. After king cross f8, we play queen h8, checkmate. In the next lesson, I am going to explain why we use direct piece attack when it comes to same side castling situation, and why we don't use pawn storm attack in such situations.